Don't stop talking. Don't get nervous now, Dave.
It's one of those ones. It's hard to guarantee that you are liked, and it takes time to do that.
What's up, guys? We're live. Can you see us? Can you hear us? John's here. Dave's here. I'm here. And we're here to talk to you guys about what's going on with the Oklahoma City Thunder. John just got back from Scotland, so obviously we're lucky to have him here. Dave just got back from, I don't know, something important, Dave.
I think I did
What's up,
something
man?
today. I don't remember what I did today, so it's all good. I can figure it out later.
What's up, Camille? How you doing, man? It's good to see you.
Yes. Wash. Come back, baby. What's up, Corey?
Corey. Yeah, man, we're pumped up about the game. Warriors game, dude. Man, everybody get ready, because after we beat the Warriors, beat the Rockets twice, beat the Warriors, beat LeBron when he's setting the record, then everybody's going to be talking about us. So
I love it.
get ready
man.
for it.
I love it. That's what
I
we've
was
been
looking at
talking.
that.
Like LeBron's missing tonight's game. So
117 points away.
Yeah.
We're 5 games away. Like
So
we're,
4
we're his
games.
5th game, so 4 now.
Yeah.
And
So
he's
just got to
scoring,
average
like,
25 and then 17 on us, and that's it.
Well,
We'll
I
hold
mean,
him 17.
All it takes is
Well,
one bad
it's-
night, and then he'll make it.
it's
to
now
us.
he has to average like 30 something a night in order to get it with us. So he'll be all right. He'll get there. Once he's
Yeah.
over this heartbreak that he just had with Russ.
We just don't want to get stuck doing math here. So what we're going to do instead is talk about the Warriors game, all right? Because this is our chance right now. I think we get back to 500.
Yeah.
Right. So
Yeah.
And the 10th win of the season, month
And
as well.
we would pass the Warriors as well.
Exactly.
yeah, we would.
We'll trade spots with them.
Oh wow. So
Or
yeah,
games
okay.
back, sorry. Yeah.
I'm fucking pumped up.
I'm
So
pulling it up right now. Figure it out.
no Dort though, right? So obviously that's going to
Hamstring.
affect things. He's probably, I don't know. Here's the thing. I've seen him play great defense on different players, but I'm yet to see him like really have like that statement game against Steph. And I'm not saying he can't do that. I'm not saying he can't. But I feel like this is one of those games maybe Wiggins can give us some value in that starting spot again. I don't know. Maybe I'm talking out my ass, guys. Somebody save me right now. Somebody save me.
I think that Wiggins' length and the fact that in order to beat the Warriors, you have to you're gonna have to spread them on defense, and you're gonna have to stay with them with the length. I feel like Dort, the reason he doesn't have statement games against Steph is potentially because he's more of a in your head, in your face, in your shit type defensive player, and that just doesn't get to Steph. Steph's just gonna step back like further and shoot further, and then he's gonna get in your head. So that doesn't have the same effect it has on, like, say, someone like Luca, who's
Yeah.
gonna be like fucking crying by the end of the game, and like, you know, that's just Dort's game. So I don't necessarily know. It's tough to miss your best defender, but I think that Wiggins stepping out and bringing out the length, and then hopefully our defense figuring out the right way to play it.
Man, and the matchup I'm really looking forward to is, if you look at it and break it down, is there's going to be one person I feel like is going to be guarding J-Dub tonight. I mean, let's just be honest.
Tell me who.
It's got to be Draymond Green.
Oh, you think so?
I think Draymond Green is going to be matched up against J-Dub. I think they look at J-Dub as a problem maker, and I think that, you know, being a rookie, I think Draymond Green is going to take on that, and I'm excited about that. If not, I mean, and we end up seeing J-Dub matched up against somebody else other than Draymond Green, I'm all for that. But I really think that this is going to come down to Draymond Green and J-Dub, and what J-Dub is capable of doing. I'm excited about, you know, maybe getting some flexes in there as well after he dunks on Draymond. Maybe we'll see.
Wow. All right. Yeah. I mean, that'll get him kicked in the nuts. There's
Maybe
no doubt
he'll
about that.
punch Draymond too, like, and just take everybody's anger out on that. Sorry,
Shit,
I let
dude.
to say that. I don't know.
No, you're good, dude. I mean, somebody's probably going to do something to Jordan Poole, though, because that seems to be the part of the game with the Warriors is punk Poole. But so
Punk and
Andrew
pay 'em.
Wiggins being back, he is our kryptonite. If you think back
Aaron?
to, yeah, Andrew Wiggins is back on the.
Oh, he is.
That's what Wash is saying right now, dude. So he's saying he's our kryptonite. And with that said, I think that goes back to the Timberwolves days where he would always have big games against us, you know. And
Yeah.
but yeah, Corey, you're right. Steph gets all the calls, but in the end, our team on top of that doesn't get any calls, so it's gonna be a wicked 40-2 free throw ratio.
It's just not Steph that gets all the calls. The fucking Warriors all get the calls. Like Draymond gets calls. Like they all get calls. But that's okay because that's what we have to beat in order to win. Like and that just makes us better in the end. And then eventually those calls will start being our calls, and that takes and switches the situation.
But we've got to be able to move on as the team has to be able to move on from the bad calls, because if you look at it in general, the way the NBA refs are, it's not, you know, it's not a hidden thing that they favor big market teams and they favor big players and they don't call fouls on superstars and different things like that. You look at the history of the game. So to me, it's not that big of a thing if you look at it, if you're ready for that. If you're going out there sitting with Coach D, prepping the guys and saying, guys, we're not going to get the calls tonight. We're just not, but we got to move on. And I think that's the thing, is that we've only had 3-player technicals all season, which is, lead for the least, it's tied for the least amount of technical fouls, by the way, all of which have been by Kenny Hustle. I think is great, by the way.
Really?
It shows where the heart is of the team, first of all. It shows where the passion is in the team. And then also it shows you that we don't sit there and we don't, moil on horrible calls and just sitting in the pits and getting upset and crying and doing these other things like we've talked about. It takes a very professional type of player to be able to play in the system with the coaching staff that we have. And I think that's what's so powerful about what, again, Sam Presti's been able to do, is pull these guys together, giving Coach D the best opportunity to succeed like he has been doing recently.
For sure, man. And as we get ready for these games, man, we get pumped up and we want to just hang out with you guys and talk a little bit about what you guys see that's going on. Like, that's really what this is all about. So if you guys have questions, or if there's like a favorite player of yours that you want us to talk about, if you guys want to hear, anything that we, just want us to make predictions about the game, that's cool too. So like whatever. I mean, we've been asking a lot of questions, like polls on Twitter and on YouTube, because we started getting this vibe. Like our last podcast, we were saying we felt like this like 1-2 combo of SGA and Giddy is actually better, a better fit for the city and for, to be able to build around than Russ and KD. And I asked other people, like I asked everybody else what they thought about it, and most people seem to agree with me, which really shocked me. It really did. And I'm still a little bit blown away by that. So I kind of want to know, I want to know more. So I asked the question, what do you guys think about, if you compare the, all the way counting Serge Ibaka, counting James Harden, you know what I mean, to what we have with J-Dub and Chet next year? What would that compare? And I feel like people came back overwhelmingly and said they thought that this new core is even better.
Yeah.
So I think that's something that kind of blows me away. So, I mean, what do you guys think about that? And, I mean, how do we move forward? Because obviously there's a lot of people who are hurt with the past. Like, I'm hurt from the past. Like, we got close and we didn't get there. But, like, the optimism for the future is obviously bouncing back in this incredible way. And I just feel like, I mean, it's exciting. It's, like, electric in my bones.
Yeah, I agree, man. And I think that's the thing about for us, it's about the future. It's about understanding what the trajectory of this team is, where this trajectory of this team is going. And that's why we get excited. For us to be able to say this, 2 guys are going to be better than KD and Russ, it's about, to me, if this team goes out and gets 1 championship, right, then this team is already more successful than Russ and KD wherever. Mm-hmm. And then that's why we say, now, say what you want. That's blasphemy to some people, and some people will say this is impossible for these 2 guys to ever be known as better than KD and Russ. But the reality is that you win a championship, you got the bragging rights. And I think that's how we look at it, is because if you look at how Sam Presti built that team, start to when that team got broken up, that team, all the weaknesses, right, they had, Sam Presti addressed by building this next team. So you know that he understood where his shortcomings were. So if we're looking at all these other things, it gets me excited. And as more people are coming, I want to again welcome John. He's coming over all the way from, some island.
Limerick.
I don't know which island. Where are you at, John, again?
Limerick, Dave.
That's right. Man, I always get it mixed up, man.
Limerick, Ireland.
Ireland, baby. That's awesome.
Home of the cranberries. Just
That's
throw those
neat.
out there.
Hell yeah, dude.
Hell yeah, dude. So, we got a couple more comments, and this is what this is all about. So, talking, here, Moawani, I agree, man. It's all about the culture. That's what makes it so we feel like we can really trust what's going on here. And Camille, like, I agree. Maybe we shouldn't be comparing the two teams. The game is different if you look at the way that they were built versus this, but we can't help ourselves, right?
Yeah,
So,
no
what do
doubt.
you think, John?
Um,
Oh, and Corey, before you say that, I agree, Corey, 100%, man. It is nice not to have to worry about hero basketball. It's nice not to worry about two guys going to argue about who's going to get the last shot. It's just going with inside the flow, and I absolutely agree with you. Sorry, John, go ahead.
no, you're good, dude. So I feel like, okay, so I feel like I have to preface it all. The fact is that those first years of the Thunder basketball were the most exciting years in my memory of sports for me, like
Yeah,
in general.
yeah.
It
I
was
remember.
something to me I never experienced. Mark, you were there for a lot of it, like in the earliest days for me, like we were watching together. It was kind of one of those things that pulled us through this like weird time in life. So it's really important to me, and it's hard to say anything negative about those times. But as a fan, a super fan, if you will, like someone who really cared about the game and watched every game, didn't miss a thing. Um, I always struggled with the way we played. Like I always struggled with it. I loved it. It was exciting. It was fun, but there was a lot of ISO game. There was a lot of hero ball. It just wasn't the way I had been taught the best basketball was played. There,
Right.
like, but at the same time, we won, and I fucking loved it. It was brilliant. So, but this squad to me, I think that in the end, um, I think it's better simply because I think Sam took note.
Hmm.
And I think the fact that one of the most brilliant basketball minds went through what he went through with KD, Russ, Harden, Serge, Steven Adams, that core group as we evolved and changed or whatever, that group, the fact is that he learned a lot about how to manage like an entire organization, not just a team. He changed the way the organization ran, and I think he's even improved the relationship with the media because what happened to Russ. And you look at Shea as a lead spokesperson versus Katie or Russ, and he's just more, in my opinion, more mature. He understands the media's got a job to do, and he understands that if he's intelligent about it, he can make them like see his perspective, and he does a really good job with that, in my opinion. So, and then I watch all the guys in their interviews. There's a lot of the whole tone towards the reporters. Now, let's see. Let's get some losses, big losses, hurtful losses at wrong times under our belt, and see if they all survive the kind of merciless kind of why'd you fuck up. But
Right.
anyways, I'm rambling. But like, yeah,
No,
No,
that's
but-
good. That's good shit,
you're,
man.
but you're right. But think about last time we had these guys come through, these young guys come through, and you had the reporters like Barry Trammell that would ask the stupid ass
Barry.
questions, right? And they
Dingleberry.
would just make the players look stupid and feel stupid, right?
Right.
Like now, I feel like the Oklahoma City Thunder inside the organization is doing what it takes to train these players not to have that type of mentality and attitude, and making sure that they answer the question and then they move on as quickly as possible. Like let Barry have his 2 seconds and then being like, okay, we're moving on. And I love that about this, the way that they're training these guys. It's great.
It's important. You gotta get ready for the berries out there because whether or not it's in your own city, you're gonna get them in other cities too. So
And we're just bringing up Barry a lot right now, sometimes in the last few episodes, because he's been in the media a lot talking about this Thunder team.
I know he's
and
back.
on other podcasts and
Yeah.
different things like that.
I
And
heard
he's-
he was on the radio trying to trade away our players. It's okay.
exactly, and it's
Barry.
so
Barry's Barry.
just ridiculous. Like
But-
enjoy the team how they are built right now. Like that's what I think about with Barry when he talks about trading this player, that
Yeah.
player to get a player that is just about to have his rookie contract
Look.
end, and then we're gonna have to re-sign that crazy amount of money. Like I don't.
if Barry was capable of being a GM, he'd be a GM. Otherwise, he can fuck off. Like that's kind of how I feel. Sam clearly has proven that he's capable of being a GM.
Right. But hey, if you go on the sports animal, like you want to say something kind of like bonkers and say something like you think you do better. But this all comes back to for me is another thing that Wash is saying, which is Russ and KD were a 1-2 punch and one of the best 1-2 punches ever. But this is all team.
It's right.
And this is not just the starting
unit.
5. This isn't just the top 10, right? This goes all the way down to the G League. And that camaraderie is what really gets us fired up. And So keep, if you guys have anything else you want to say, if you're just joining us, jump in the chat. We're here to talk to you, whatever you want to talk about. That's what this is about. So whatever you got to say it now, and we'll talk about your favorite player or whatever you want to say.
Yeah, and Mawani, I agree with this. We all want to have success for a long period of time. And if you look at how Sam Presti has built this team, right, and having all these young players, and we're, really a very young core of 24 or under at this moment, right?
Right.
And if you take this team and you say, okay, in 7 years, the players that we have that are we are able to continue will all be in that 30 age range, right? Well, that's also when all the draft picks that we have finally are coming to an end, right? So if you look at it, we still have this unique way of being able to rebuild through the draft so that we can stay young and stay relevant through all these years. And I do think it's one of those things that the course of time that we'll be able to see and say, okay, through the course of the last 20 years, there's never been a organization that's been able to continue winning for this long, for this many years. And I truly believe that that's what Sam Presti is trying to attempt to build here. And I think that's what he's going to be successful building.
I was going to ask earlier. We were talking, Dave. When is the right time? When is the right time to start trading? We were having that conversation in text earlier. Like we clearly feel like the T Wolves making it in. They made it out of the first round of the playoffs, and then they're trading away to try to get chips. Like that's too soon. Like you need to be. Where do you need to be though?
Yeah.
Where do you feel it?
I think if you can't get over that Western Conference hump, then you have to reassess what you have. And you have, like I said, Sam Presti's got like 14 first-round draft picks, so he has a lot of leverage to be able to go out and get what he needs. But to me, it's not about that. If this team is able to get into the playoffs because of how deep we are and how that we're able to save the legs of these players, there's no other team that's going to be able to play with us in a 7-game series. So for us, it's about developing all the players that we have. But again, if we do trade out and go out and get a big-time player, it's going to be a player like, I've talked about this before, but it would be a player like Ben Simmons that needs to revitalize his career, that would be a cheap add-on piece to a bigger trade to somebody else. That I think that Sam Presti could pull something off like that with only giving up a draft pick or two. But that would have to be something that Sam Presti would have to make that decision. And I don't want to sit here and say this is what he needs to do or this is what he needs to do. I just look at the NBA in general and look at the most underutilized players, and that's how I look at those. And that's, I think, the same way Sam Presti looks at it, because that's how he looked at Kendrick Williams, grabbing him, and Mike Muscala and some of the other players that we have that's been added.
So to me, I'm going to say it now. I think that there's going to be a trade this year before the deadline, and the Thunder are going to be involved in it. And I think we're going to come away with a player that probably none of us have ever heard of. And maybe we have, but it was from a peripheral thing, right? Because we watched, like, you might have watched like the college tournament and, seeing a player play, but like, we don't know, we don't have any way of knowing that it's on his radar. So a lot of people ask about Mo Bamba, and I think that's like,
I love him too, by the way.
I like him too, but it's going to be somebody else, like Corey's saying, like a long shot, like somebody that is kind of out there, like a second-round pick that another team is willing to give up on, and they want to get off his salary. So they're going to trade him to us, and we're going to take a salary dump and get a project. Like, that combination, if you're in the driver's seat for your season, then that's what you do.
Yeah.
And you don't move anything out that you want to keep, but there's something that you have, whether it's a trade exemption or it's a roster spot or financial flexibility, the ability to buy a player out, whatever it is, somebody wants that, and you have to be in that spot. Presti's always making those moves. And then we always say one thing. It's the throw-ins.
Yeah.
It's the throw-ins. Whoever, like, we don't know their name, our scouting department is the best in the league. And now we added that guy from the 76ers. There's more people like, Dave, you were aware of Isaiah Joe's skills when we got him. But for me, he was new to me. So that's why I'm like, we don't know. But, like,
so good, dude.
Everybody thought that the team was set going into training camp. And then right before training camp, Isaiah Joe comes in. And I think that's kind of like what we need to expect is, like, get ready. As soon as you find out who we traded for, you're going to be Googling this person's name and trying to figure out, like, their highlights and, getting out there and watching that shit, because we know, like, that our scouting department is who we're going to rely on in this opportunity. And the deal will be like this. Hey, take this player and we'll be like, okay, but we want that guy.
Yeah, and we want a draft pick to take that player as well,
Yeah.
because we're taking on salary, and I think that would be a situation, Mwani, like a PJ Washington situation. You know,
I don't think they'd be willing to give him up for very cheap. They're still high on him.
If we know their name, like if it's a well-known name, like I don't think Sam's paying for him. Like I just think that's the reality of the situation. I guess my question was more like, okay, so the next few years we're build whatever, but like at some point we're gonna hit a point where we're gonna have trade assets and we're gonna be looking at it and say we need one piece. Like if we had this one thing, it would complete our team. We have all these trade assets. When is the right time? Because if you do it too soon, if you trade off your trade assets too soon, you're gambling. You're guessing. Do I need this player? Do we need this yet? Yeah, the Cavs. They're trying to decide what now. I mean, everybody needs Donovan Mitchell, right? But they're trying to decide how to build this team without really knowing. And they may be right, but I feel like Sam, like he's in a spot where if in 3 years we make the finals and just play along, but we make the finals and we lose. And we're looking at it and saying we lost because we were one shooter shy of being able to really put them in a tight spot. Because when we pulled this guy out, they beat us because their rotations and defense.
One French fry shy of a Happy Meal.
And we're looking at we got 3 first-round draft picks and 2 second-round draft picks coming in the next draft. Where do you do? Like, what is that the time to say, okay, now we trade? Because if we've got an 8-10 player rotation with winning capabilities, like. Do you mess that up, or do you actually try to bring in a piece?
Okay, so you're talking that year's draft. You're not talking about multiple drafts. You're talking about 1 year's worth of draft picks, correct?
I mean, I wouldn't trade our future away for anything.
Okay, so
but like,
let me ask you real
quick.
Like when we traded Jeff Green for Perkins, is that the type of trade that you're talking about?
Like 2 first rounders
I don't know,
type
because
thing.
I don't really feel like then we had the trade assets that we do now. Like I don't feel like
we didn't. But
I
like
don't feel like we're gonna have to give up a player to get a player. I think we might be able to give up.
Okay, so we're talking about like cashing in on some picks to get someone where we look at and say, if we could have boxed out Pau Gasol in Game 6 against the Lakers, we would have gone to Game 7.
Yeah, kind of like sometimes you're missing a piece and you make a move. Like
it's not. I mean, I think it was Kristich that was our center back then. Like he was up against Gasol, and it was like, okay, that's where we're not going to be able to get past. I mean, I think Dave's right. Like it's conference finals, and I think I've heard some people talk about one of the issues they felt like with the Thunder was that they should never even traded Jeff Green for Perk.
Trades is right.
I mean, I like the Perk trade, right? But to me, like with you when you're growing a group of young players, as soon as you say like one of you guys who was like a part of the core isn't there, it starts to kind of peel things away. I could be wrong. Then the flip side of it is though, how do you pay everybody? And so that's kind of like, the reality of our team. Like when we can go into the luxury tax, we're not afraid of it, but what we're afraid of it is going into it when we're not a contender. Because if you're doing that, then you're fucked.
And what you just said, Corey, about the Şengün trade is exactly right. Is if we can turn these type of trades where somebody's like, we'll give you 2 future first round draft picks for that one, right? We're sitting in a really good position to be able to, accumulate more trades and then move up in the draft, or, trade those future draft picks in a situation like we did with New York Knicks and cash in and go to number 11 from 0. So I think that's where we're looking at is we have to continue this idea of Sam Presti working his magic and letting him do what he does, and not questioning a lot of the moves that he makes, because even some of the moves that he made in 2008, to get Rashard Lewis, or to send Rashard Lewis over to Magic, right?
Yeah.
So everybody
still paying off,
trade,
right?
Right.
Right.
And it's still paying off. Like, but he traded Rashard Lewis, and all he brought back was a trade exemption, right?
Right.
And then he got Kurt Thomas and the New York Knicks. He created cap space, and then he goes able to get Serge Ibaka, right? With that draft pick that year.
Deets, bro, you got it.
So it's just a powerful thing if you look at the longevity of what Sam Presti can do with just a simple move. So for me, I look at it and I say, anytime that there's a move made, I got to take a step back and try to look for the future of it.
So if you guys are just joining us, jump in the chat. We're here to talk to you. Whatever you guys want to talk about, John, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I mean, just watching Sam make his moves in the last
beautiful.
decade, I've learned so much more about what trades can include. I think actually like trades have evolved a lot. Like I don't think they're quite the same, but like paying attention to his moves and watching these trade details come out, they're not player for player. Like there's always something else. There's always more attached to it, and there's always like he's constantly trading up, starting with a small asset and figuring out how to turn it into the next and the next and the next. So, like, I would never question him in that sense. I just theorize. Like, I understand the concept. I'm not interested in trading anything yet. I don't see the point.
But
we have some extra picks that maybe we do move up the draft. I could see that with 4 in 2024. Sure. I could see trying to put 4 draft picks together to move like up the draft.
Usman Jang style, where it was like 3 that didn't matter for 1 that does.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah,
even some that matter for 1 that matters more. Like even like if we've got to like. If we want a specific person, like Sam will know, like if he's targeting someone and he's like, listen, if I get to 5, I can have that person, and I have 8 and
12,
15 or something, and like
creating value, like Corey says, right?
Yeah, exactly. So
and I think it's crucial that we look at it every year. Like if Sam Presti has 4 draft picks and 3 of them are going to turn out and 1's not going to, that year, just because of the whatever circumstances, I have to look at it like this: is that if Sam's taking those 3 draft picks in that particular year and he's trading them to a particular team for a certain player that he thinks is going to help us out for that next push that has a few years left on his contract, listen, that is the type of move that I'm okay with, because it's not leveraging our future. It's leveraging a draft pick that probably will turn into 2 second-round draft picks, and then taking, probably 2 20th something round picks and, 1 teen pick. Like that to me would be a valued trade if we were able to go ahead and pick up a big time player that took us from game 6 to all of a sudden the finals. Like to me, that's worth it.
Yeah, and Moana, you're right, man. We got 4 firsts coming up, and we can't keep all those. So this is a math problem, right? And there are some players. Some people really do want to get rid of certain players. I don't think it's set. I think at this point, like as long as players are willing to do their job and they're willing to continue to work hard, we want them on the team.
Absolutely.
And not that the people that we moved on past already, they weren't willing to, but I think if you're looking for something like a commonality with the guys that we got rid of, that like Vit Krejci and Teo Maledon, like guys that we really liked, like Roby, like right at the end of the last year, at the beginning of this year kind of vibe, like the guys that we kept can play multiple positions, can defend multiple positions, can handle the ball freely in the open court. And I think this versatility is the name of the game going forward, especially deep down on the bench. And that's why I look at some guys and I'm like, I understand that they're not performing up to some people's expectations, but to me, the question comes down to, in a big playoff series, you need this like ultimate level of versatility. Can you go to that guy late in games? And some people would say no on some of them. Some people would say yes. But if they're young and they're willing to learn, we're sticking with them. So I think the picks at this point are less valuable as they approach. Not that we won't use them, but my theory would be we'll use them in a way where we push them down further. So we'll pick a guy for somebody who they give us 2 picks in 4 years and they forget about it. And that like pushing them out further and further and further, and then occasionally using one when we really believe in somebody. That's how I think it will go forward.
I hope it does, because I mean, look at how we were able to pick up Osman Jang and J-Dub. We got 1 for the future and 1 right now. Now, I personally, I knew J-Dub was going to be excellent. I knew that he was going to be able to be impactful. But when we talked about the beginning of the season, I expected him to be coming off the bench, and like he did at the beginning of the season. I did not expect him to take over that power forward starting position. What he has done this season is truly spectacular, and you just have to take a step back with J-Dub and truly take in what he is accomplishing. I mean, he has 50 dunks already, right? He's going to get up there into the 75 if he stays healthy, 75 plus. Why is that impactful? Well, think about it. I mean, how many rookie guards have probably had 75 plus dunks in a single season?
There's not the number many. Is very, very low.
Very, very little. And
it's not all dependent on athleticism.
And then you see he's got range, right? He knows how to get to the hole and create his own shot. He passes the ball, he rebounds and plays defense. J-Dub is so next level, and I love the fact that people around the world are starting to understand this about J-Dub. He's exciting. He is next level, and when we're all said and done, he's going to be known as one of the better players in Oklahoma City Thunder history.
Yeah, I mean, I think for us, one of the things that we're trying to grasp, right, is will he become great? And a lot of people, when you talk about him being an all-star, they'll be like, well, I don't want to talk about that because there are 3 other players I'd rather be an all-star. But if you think about that, that kind of gets us in trouble if you go back to the old days, because that type of mentality when it was Russ and KD kind of made it so everybody felt like Harden should come off the bench. And I think that was one of the fundamental issues in the past was like, if you're one of the best players, you should fucking start and should get paid like it, right? And I think for J-Dub, like we shouldn't say, oh, well, we don't want him to be, or we don't think he can be an all-star, because that means that, like, you know, SGA or Giddey or, you know, Chet won't be as good as they can be. And I think that's fucking bullshit. Like, I think Ginobili was an all-star, even though he came off the bench, but I'm not 100% for sure. But I'm thinking he was an all-star. Parker was an all-star. Duncan was an all-star. Like, Robinson was an all-star. But people are at their peaks at different times. So we shouldn't say, oh, I don't think J-Dub will be because we have other people who are. That's, like, one player's success doesn't have to be at the expense of another. So we should look at J-Dub and say, if he was our only star, right, if he was our only great player, well, first of all, like you said, he has a chance, even though he broke his face early in the season, he has a chance to go for 75 like dunks this year, right? Your mic's off, bro. But 75 dunks this year, and then like for a career, like if he did that for 10 years, like he would put himself in the top 3 or 4 guards in dunking in history. So we shouldn't be like, oh well, you know. I look at him, I'm like, he's like a D Wade type player. Like, let's embrace that, right? Let's 100% embrace his peak being what it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I voted on that poll you put up, and I'm one of the few that voted J-Dub. But I sent you a text about it during the game when I was watching the game. Like, I honestly think in the end, like, it's impossible to pick and be able to identify these things, but like, his grasp of the game from the start, since he's showed up on the team, earning the starting spot. Shea came into a different type of team when he started in the NBA, but his starting season, got a bit of feedback.
Ton of feedback from Dave.
That's my fault, guys. My mic's all jacked up right now.
All right. Go ahead, John. Keep talking.
Okay, so
we gotta mute you, Dave. Can you mute yourself, Dave?
Yeah, I can.
So anyways, so I just feel like in the end, J-Dub's got this talent. Should I stop and wait? Okay, there you go. J-Dub's got this talent and this potential ceiling, and you look at the guy and his grasp of the game from the very first moment he stepped on the court at the NBA level is super impressive. His stats compare really well to someone like Shea. Obviously, Dave is going again.
My mic.
All right, I got him muted. John,
Okay.
keep going, and then I'll turn him back on.
So it just, to me, he has this ability to come in and put himself on a trajectory in a squad that develops at such a high level. And I don't know. I think he actually can do it. I think he has the natural athleticism and the reach and the length that maybe Shea might, in some people's opinion, lacked. And I think that in the end, that could put him in a spot where he could go on to be that. And I like to support this kind of, like, we don't know idea, but he has this potential. But where he's going to end, who knows?
Yeah, I mean, we don't know. But it's fun to look at, and I think, like, trying to evaluate him on his own merits and saying, like, hey, he is rookie, so we shouldn't just be like, he's at his peak. He's going to keep improving. And like you're saying, Mwani, he does it on both ends, which is really, really fucking important. And if you can do that, if you earn your time and you come out and you can be a star on multiple levels. So we appreciate everybody. We noticed a bunch of people continue to show up, and your chats, we're reading them. We're going to continue to respond to them as we go. If you got something to say, jump in here. Tell us what you got to say. We want to talk about your favorite players or whatever you want to talk about. And yes, Dingleberry, I trademarked that. I did not, but I wish I did, because I've been saying it for about a year now. And if you look at Never mind. I'll just drop it there. Yeah, I'm trying to start that Dingleberry trend. That is for sure, man. For sure. What do you think, John? What do you got? What do you see the
I was,
comment?
I was reading Josh's statement here. Look like we need four going forward. Going forward. I don't know if we need the forward position. Is that what? Yeah, I mean, I understand we need it, but I don't know if we need to draft or trade into it at this stage. Maybe I'm kind of a homer, but I think we have enough raw talent and height and length to really punish people in the four position if they try to play a bigger four, and then if you're playing a smaller four, or if they're playing a bigger four, we're faster. Our height has speed, and then if you're playing a smaller four, we're just gonna be taller than you and longer than you. I don't know. Like, I get the thought process there about trading for one, but I'm not sure we need to. And honestly, OG, Siakam, and Scotty Barnes are gonna cost our future.
And look, if Dave was
So, I
here
don't
right
know that
now,
it'd be-
he would say that right now what we got is a 4. We got John. We're getting some feedback right now, man. But our 4 is J-Dub, and he's playing like a 4. So we got to give him like that love, and we got to put him in a spot where he's playing that 4. I think defensively he can do that. Offensively, he's more of a perimeter-oriented player. So it depends on the matchups, and that's one of the things I really like. But we get JRE back, and he can play the 4, and obviously Poku can play some 4. So I like leaning into what we've got. Hey James, I see you joining us from Melbourne. Thank you. God damn, it's early there. I know it is. So appreciate you joining us for sure. John, you got one, man? You see anything?
I think, McKenzie, I think you're right. Like, the bottom line is we've got to pay Isaiah Joe if he keeps the shooting up. We can't not. He's the 4th best shooter in the NBA this year. If he continues the season at that level, and he comes around, I don't know his contract actually. Mark, do you know his contract?
No, I think it was, but I do think it was a 3-year team friendly. But
Okay.
yeah,
But we're likely to renegotiate if we really want to keep him and we want to make that statement. But I'm not sure we will until it's advantageous for the team. But
yeah, I mean with Dort we waited till pretty late, and Moane said we got all these undrafted. So Camille said we got all these undrafted players, right? Those guys really make up the core of why we think that like this team is going to continue to improve long after just like the peak of their stars, like what we've seen in the past at some of the teams that we're comparing him to. So shout out. I totally agree with what you're saying there about J. Will. Island, I think that's right. No, Eaton. Yeah, I'm sitting way back from my computer, so my eyes are blurring. But John, go ahead.
J. Will's big. I'm so hyped on
shooting
him
the ball
since I've
good,
seen him.
taking charges. Everything about him is thunder glue guy type stuff for sure.
He's a bigger K-Rich at this stage.
And he takes so much joy out of doing the little things.
Did you see the smile on his face when he took
my
that
God.
charge? Like, I mean, like just ear to ear. Like, it was impressive.
I know. He's
Camille,
honestly, he when he smiles, dude, he's like one of the best looking people in the world because his smile is that good looking. And I know that sounds weird for me to say, but he like lights up a room with that giant freaking smile, and you get the best smile in the world when he takes a charge. Like nothing makes me happy.
Nah, man, you want to see him do well because you want to see him smile more. I completely agree.
I love that guy.
Kamel, honestly, picking what position we want, Chet. Okay, so here's my thought on position play basketball. I don't think it's what Sam or Mark are doing anymore. I think we're trying to get away from this position play. Obviously, like the reality of the situation is the game is built on positions, but we can't pigeonhole players anymore. We need players who can play the 5 or the 4 or the 3 and the 4. Like what K. Rich is doing, like that's the archetype in our game, and in our role players, in our other players. So I think Chet will play 4 and 5. I think Chet will play 4 when they have a big 5 and we want to body him up with someone like Jay will. And I think that in a single game, Chet will play 4 and 5. Like it's going to rotate depending on who else is on the court and who we're playing and what our matchups are. The bottom line is the NBA is a matchup game. So, players do better against certain matchups. And if you watch, Mark sees that and you see him put a player on and maybe sometimes find out a special surprise that this guy matched up better than he expected, then he stays with it and he rides that out.
Yeah. And James, you're totally right about the chemistry between J-Dub and Josh. Like, I made a bunch of highlight video of every single J-Dub dunk because I just hadn't seen anybody doing that. And I posted on Twitter, and a number of people commented that every dunk was an assist from Giddy, and it really seemed like that. I went back to check it, and it wasn't. But like J Dub dunks are special, and the way that Giddy leads him into the open court or leads him into like space is just incredible. It's watching them, click. We've seen it happen before with Giddy, where he can lead people and he really understands what's going on. But like what we're seeing is highlight dunks at the end of this, and from a rookie, like this is special. And somehow I think J Dub's a little bit older than Josh, so there's like an interesting dynamic that way. But like the respect they have for each other out in the court is crazy.
Dude, let me hype Josh for a second because that's one thing about Josh's game since the day he arrived. But now that we've evolved a bit, we've seen kind of him play at different levels and different players. The summer league this year, in the short summer league stint that he had one summer league and then one game in the second summer league.
Yeah.
The game that he begged for, basically, according to Sam. Like, the bottom line is like he connected with Chet. Like he has to be the most like personal player to play with because he's made an effort to connect with each of our players and develop this connection. Him and Chet had like instant chemistry. Him and J-Dub, their chemistry was like, I mean, from the start, he's hitting backdoor cuts for massive wide open dunks and like making it look like the defense just broke on a rookie. Like that's the chemistry and the connection, and he has that with Shea. I find he finds Dort in the corner like all the time with these one-handed hits. Sometimes it's a bit sloppy, but other times it works really, really well. So I don't know. I expect that Josh J-Dub chemistry to just like escalate. Then you throw in Chet too. It's gonna be really interesting.
So
right, Josh,
Dave's about to join us again, which is dope. We're getting close to having him back. And a bunch of people have joined us again. So thank you. We're gonna go ahead and let's see. We're gonna go ahead and read through a few of your comments. And look, if you have a question, don't worry about if we've already covered it here before, because our whole point is to talk to you guys about whatever you want to talk about. So if you missed it, who cares? We'll say it again. Whatever. We love you. This. All right. So all right. The thing about the draft picks, what I want to see is us get players that we haven't heard of before and push picks out as far back as possible. If you think about how we got Trey Mann, I think we traded 2 picks to move back. We got picked up 2 picks to move back or something like that. That type of vibe. Push the picks back into the future when we're getting closer to, having to make extensions, big extensions with some players, that type of stuff. It's more like creatively saving those for the future when we don't know what's going to happen. But you're right. We have too many picks. We can't put them all on the court at the same time. They're going to need opportunities. So we got to pick that one guy, which is going to be hard because even in this last draft, we picked up 4 really, really good players. So it hurts my brain to think about. So I try not to do it too much. And right in front of me, I have a list of all the players on the team right now, and I'm in love with all of them, and it's incredible. So Dave, we got you. All right, that's good. So I'm pumped up about all this. Like the picks, they're like, you got to think about them, not necessarily like when they're picks, they're not people. Eventually they will be people, they will be players, but right now they're currency. Okay. And think about it like pushing that back because we have more picks than we want. So we want to find people who want to pay 2 for 1, and we're going to push it into the future as far as possible. That's my theory. That's my mentality. So we see, Dave, we're about to answer just a couple of more questions here. So I'll let you go ahead and answer whatever you want, bro.
Did you guys answer McKenzie Wrights?
Not that one, no.
Not that one. A couple of them, though. Go ahead.
All right, yeah, McKenzie, man. I'm all for a trade if Sam Presti finds something on that trade block that it would really truly fit this team. To me, it's hard though because you look at how long it took Isaiah Joe, who's a great shooter, to really fit in and find his groove on this team, and it took a good 10 games for him to figure it out. So for me, I look at that and I say, okay, if we're adding somebody, it's going to take them 10, 15, 20 games to really get in the flow of things. So it's hard to say. I mean,
I just don't think I don't think it's Sam's nature to make a big trade for any big asset to our team right now. Yeah. I think he'll be involved. Like Sam gets his tentacles in, if you will, on every trade deadline because he's got something somewhere that a GM needs, and he's going to find it and exploit it. And he does it every time, but I don't think it'll be anything that anybody's talking about. I don't think it'll all be in the fine print. We'll pick up something random here, and then we'll fast forward 5 years and see what he actually did with that something random. Like that's how I see Sam working this year. maybe down the road if we really feel we've got a chance at a chip, but we don't this year. I don't think. I don't see us getting a ring this year, like at all. So why would we put a lot of our future on rent? I guess.
And let's talk about tonight's game before we get going, because
Yeah.
I want to really talk
Yeah.
about the defense Golden State plays. We play so well against defensive like this. You look at Shea and how he attacks the hole. You look at Josh Giddey, how he attacks the hole in dishes. You look at J Dub. These guys are going to really attack downhill. Our small ball is going to be an issue to Golden State, and I'm really looking forward to this matchup, because if you look at how we just completely dominate the ball when we're playing well, Golden State is that type of defense that we just shine on. And if we're looking at a player that I feel like is going to go off tonight, I really do feel like SGA could have another 40-point performance tonight. He's we're talking about always so close with Shea recently. I mean, he's been so close, very close to 40 points, 3 or 4 games. I think this is one of those games that everybody's watching. He's going to step up and play some amazing ball. So I would highly recommend you guys keep a good close eye on Shea, because tonight it's the right type of defense for Shea to go off on.
Yeah, Mwani, my story about somebody who knew about Josh Giddey before I did was I met a stranger in Wichita who was telling me about him, and I was shocked because I had just been studying Giddey film, and I was like, he said he was a Thunder fan. I was like, well, who do you hope they pick? And we had just done a podcast about Giddey, and he's like, Josh Giddey. I was like, whoa, like maybe I'm the last person to know about Giddey, but I'm not surprised that your cousin or anybody's cousin, like if you pay attention to basketball in Australia, like, and you knew Josh Giddey was coming, the rest of us, we got to figure it out, but we weren't there. Let's see, man. So
James Knight, right? Our defense will be tested tonight. Anytime that we play against superstars like what Golden State has on their team, it's going to be a difficult round. But if you look at the way Coach D always preps these guys, his defense is designed, per team that we play against, and the way that our long arms create issues. You think about Steph. Steph's going to have to take it, a few more inches back in order to be able to get open shots. So these things cause issues for good players like we're going to be playing against tonight. So our defense will be tested, but I do think that this is a perfect opportunity for Coach D to flex his muscles and show us what he's all about.
absolutely, man.
I think tonight our defense, it's going to be tested with perimeter shooting. But I personally think that Boston and Philly were both bigger tests of our defense because they play different styles and they have different weapons. Obviously, the Warriors are the Warriors. Like, I don't want to undermine them or whatever, but I think we match up a little bit better because we actually play their pace of ball. We actually understand their pace of ball and have seen some success at it. Mm-hmm. But I mean, I guess in the end, like, if you're playing the Warriors and Clay and Steph and Poole shoot well, you probably don't win. Like, unless you just have the best night of your life. Like, we need them to not shoot well. And the fact of those 3 players can all shoot well with a hand and perfect defense and a hand in their face. So in the end, like, it's really up to that, I think, on whether or not we succeed. Now, if we play shit defense, obviously we get beat. But I don't think we will. We step up to challenges. Giddey's best games are in challenges. K-Ridge's best games. He always, like, when pressure gets on, Kenny's going to fucking step up. So I don't think that that's our issue here tonight. I think it'll be a matter of, can we score more than them just based simply on shooting and like seeing how their game plays? Can they outshoot us or not?
Which we've been one of the highest, if not the highest scoring team since January 1st. So I do feel like we have an opportunity to outscore them if it comes down to that. We've proven we've been able to do that against other teams. Nathan Lake, man, you're one of our favorite listeners. I really appreciate all the amazing comments you leave on the posts or the pods that we put up. I love OG. I mean, like, he is amazing. If we had an opportunity to get him, trust me, I'd want it all over. I just feel like it's the point where we're at right now in the season is, anybody we add, like I was saying a second ago, is going to take some time to acclimate to the team. So if there's going to be a trade, I would rather, go what Sam has done in the past and wait into the offseason to make sure that player is going to fit in perfectly for what we need. So obviously, if Sam were to pull the trigger right now and I would eat my words, I would be so fucking stoked. But at this moment, I'm just happy that we have the team that's competing like they are. But to think about SGA, Giddey, J-Dub, and OG Chet, man, that's a sick lineup. But I like to dream about other things too. But obviously, Chet and OG and J-Dub, Giddy, SGA, whether you have Dort in there too, it doesn't matter. These guys all together are going to be filthy, and it's going to be really fun to watch them mature.
Yeah, Chris, I agree with what you're saying about SGA needing to lock in so we get the win. John, I cut you off. Go ahead, man.
No, you're great. No. I'm just curious. Like that's like the third person mentioning OG. Obviously,
There's rumors
he's
about
fit
it.
up, but where are the rumors coming from? I haven't seen them.
It's all over the NBA.
People want him. Dude. He's good. They've wanted him since before he was drafted, and now he's playing at all-star level, and he's supposed to be available.
So is it just fan chatter, or is there actual?
I think
lust.
Okay, that's fine. I'm just curious. I like OG a lot, but I just wasn't sure.
I think there's lust, but I also think that there's, you know how like when teams are out, shopping guys, and once it's out that they're willing to add them to a trade, like more people find out. I think this is one of those situations where if they're trying to get a certain player in, they might have to add OG to that, and then people might think it's, oh, look they're willing to add OG to a trade. Not every trade, but this particular trade, it might be adding him to that trade to get the trade done. And there's a lot of questions on what that trade is going to be, but I mean, it seems like it would be a pretty hefty bring in for what they're going to try to get.
Yeah, Josh, I agree with you. It is ridiculous that it's like we have too many picks. I think that's why I try not to like process it. I just like can we push them down the road? Because no matter what pick you have, at some point somebody's willing to trade you for extra picks. So boom, I see all these comments coming in. We're gonna get to every single one, so keep them coming. We're obviously pumped up about this game against the Warriors, but we're pumped up to hang out with you. This is John's first time to do a live with us. It's only our third live session, our pregame hangout, as we call it. It's our opportunity to let you guys control the conversations. Here's what I want. I want you to tell us who you want to hear about. Who are the people that the media is forgetting about? And then we can just sit here and talk about those people for sure, man. That's what we want to do right now.
Let's go and talk about Trey Mann. James Knight brought him up again. We had a couple people bring him up last podcast that we did. You know what's happening with Trey Mann is he's still finding his groove. He's still a young player. To me, in the past, we've seen second-year players play a lot. But in my opinion, where we're trying to move on from is that we're going to be drafting players that are going to end up spending a year in the G League. Even in the first round, we're going to draft players that are going to spend half a year in the G League. We're going to draft players that are going to do that for 1 or 2 years. So watching Trey Mann get less minutes is not that big of a deal because when he jumps back to the G League, he flexes his muscles and he drops 35 in one game and 40 in the next game. So to me, it's just about getting minutes for him where they're available. And we've been in every single game. And let's just be honest, Isaiah Joe is playing like a madman. And I don't want Isaiah Joe's minutes to be taken away from him right now. So that's where I feel like what's happening with Trey Mann at this moment.
Yeah, man. And look, our defense, James, you're saying our defense is going to be tested by the Warriors, and you're right. And then, Moana, you're saying that like one of the biggest tests we're going to have all year is against that Cleveland front line. And you look at like how we're playing, like we have this ability to switch, to get out, to trust each other, kind of what Camille's saying about, we got to cover those threes. But how is it that we can go small with Kenny Hustle, right, and have him cover the a five like Aaron Allen Mobley, and then at the same time, we're gonna go out and we're gonna be able to cover the perimeter against some of the greatest shooters of all time. It's because of this versatility. So we're still digging into it as fans. We're still getting used to it, but it's so addictive to be like, okay, what about this lineup against this? And believe it or not, guys, I think Bazley's a real big key in a game like this because if he can create extra length and he can do it without fouling, like you put him on different people and give him a different look. Different looks, that's what it's about. You can't go all game at an all-time great player with the exact same thing, but you've got to find out how you can give them different issues. What the fuck happened to you, Dave?
I just spilled some water on me and I kind of jumped up too fast and the glass went flying to the ground.
Dude, it was wonderful, dude. It sounded like a sound effect, dude. It didn't sound real.
McKinsey, okay, so Bazley's minutes going down. Yeah, so I think that he's kind of undergoing like a test right now. I don't know if you put it that straightforward, but like his minutes are going down and coach wants to see how he steps up when he does get minutes. And I think the thing about Bazley right now, for a guy who's really struggled with confidence and really, I think, understanding his role, in my opinion, I think he's proving to them that he knows where he fits every time he gets on the court right now. And if you watch the post-game interviews, they ask about Bays. I think everybody's like honed in on maybe Bays might be on the way out or whatever, but like it doesn't sound like it to me with Mark. Now, obviously, that's not Mark's decision necessarily, but I don't think that Mark's looking to move him. I think Mark's super impressed right now with the fact that he's taken this lower role, but he's still kept his involvement at a high level because as a team of 12 guys probably that need to be able to like capable like at rotations with injuries and stuff, like you need guys who are willing to be on the bench and not play a whole game but keep their attitude up. That's just a must. So I think maybe I'm a homer, but I don't think Baisley's going anywhere yet. I know he hasn't gotten his extension.
We're
but
definitely homers.
we waited for
but
Dort too. Like
we're supposed to be, and that's.
I like
But-
Baisley. I like him thinking in the role of like that Dennis Rodman role, in that I'm going to be a total dick to everybody else around me role. Like he fits that vibe, and I hope he does become that. Kevin Scott, I think Presti will trade some of his picks for the future picks. Listen,
yeah,
you're right.
definitely.
It just takes time, and I think at the right time we're going to see Sam Presti pull some trigger and trade some picks away for the right player. Obviously, I don't think that is something that he's going to do this year. We don't have very many draft picks in this next draft, and I don't think he's going to wager some of those future draft picks for a pick, unless he's getting a pick that's upgrading his pick currently for this next year. So,
Yeah.
I could be wrong, but I would love to see Sam Presti go out and get OG, or go out and get, Siakam if he was available. Like, to me, like, these type of players would be huge to play on this team for a long period of time. But the reality is that I'm too much more in love with what Sam Presti is building around this current team. I'm too much more in love with how Sam Presti has created this community of drafting players and developing players and making sure each one of them knows that that's what the future holds. Like, I love that, because to me, there's security in that, and these young guys are going to be able to do that without being, afraid that they're going to be traded. So I like this.
I want to say this to James about Trey Mann. Look, this year we saw it with a couple of players. They came in, especially last year's rookies, and they said, we're going to ask you to do different things than you did last year. Last year was all about going out and trying new things, and basically, like, nothing you do is a fuck up. This year, like, it's going to be different. And you saw Giddey be asked to move off the ball, move to more of like a small forward position on the court, and you be more of a playmaker than a point guard. Okay? With Trey Mann, we even heard Coach talking about when they sent him to the G League, they wanted him to work on his catch and shoot threes. And I think they've basically said, Trey, we don't want you to go to that step back unless the shot clock's under 3 seconds. And he's kind of like, that's my main move. Like, we want you to be a catch and shoot guy, or pass the ball and play really great defense. So then if it's hand grenade and you catch it, then you have that opportunity. But outside of that, we want you to play within the system, and it's hard. And we saw Giddey struggle with it at first, and like, people are going to do with it on their own terms. And so, look, you don't have a player like Trey Mann in your system who's capable of doing what he's doing whenever he's like allowed to do whatever he wants. He has athletic explosion. He has the ability to knock down the three, and just trade him because you asked him to do something that wasn't the best for them. Like, you've got to find a balance. And right now, that balance is saying, we're going to limit your opportunities. We want you to make the most of it and then come back a better player. It's going to help the team in the long run. It's going to be difficult for you in the short term. But as fans, we can just anticipate that it's going to be hard sometimes, especially when our favorite players go through that. And we saw everybody like start trashing Giddey. And it was like, that's our chance to stand up and be like, look, this is different circumstances.
And I agree with you, Corey. I miss Poku.
So
One thing
much.
that I did with Mark when we were in Lake Erie, when we were fishing for some steelhead.
Yeah, let me tell him.
right,
You
go
said, if you do nothing else when we're playing defense, watch Poku. Actually, watch Poku the whole time we're playing defense and do nothing else. And he made me just sit there and watch Poku on defense. And you know what? Like, I learned something. Like, Poku is incredibly active, and he gives the players permission with his length to cheat and extend a little bit without getting out of position. And he's very good at helping other players recover. So he's a team defender, even, I don't know. So yeah, Dave, go ahead. I'll let you finish. But I mean, it's true what he's saying.
I love Poku, and it's something that I admire the way that he runs around. I love his attitude, his mentality, the way he gives guys crap. If you guys watch Twitter, he's always on active about giving SGA and these other guys crap. I love this. This is what Poku is for this team. And you need a bunch of these guys that are team players like this. So I love Poku, huge fan of him. Kenny Hustle for us, like James, we are one of Kenny Hustle's biggest fans. What he does for this organization and putting his balls on the line all the time is unbelievable. I mean, the charges that he takes, the loose balls that he goes for, everything that is a hustle play, I feel like Kenny Hustle is right in the middle of it, and that's one of the reasons that I love what he's doing, and it's pretty impactful to see what he's going to be capable of doing. Yes, James. Also, you asked the question: do we feel like we need more catch and shooters when SGA and Josh drive and kick? Yes, but we also have Trey Mann. We have Poku who can hit. We have Isaiah
Mike,
Joe.
Kenny.
We have J Hub. We have Kenny. Or J Dub, we have Kenny. I mean, the list goes on.
Mike.
These guys that can shoot now. So
Chet can shoot.
yeah, Chet can shoot. So catch and shoot. We've got those shooters. It's just about those shooters maturing and getting old enough where 40% 3-point shots are actually something that we'll see actively happen.
Dude, so okay, Poku and shooting, two things. Obviously, Poku to me is a perfect example of what I'm about to say with shooting. The development is just so critical with shooting. You can have a great shot in college and get to the NBA, and the bottom line is your team is going to teach you the right way to shoot if you're not doing it the right way, and it's going to change, and it's going to throw your shot off, and it's going to take time to build that confidence. So I think our catch and shoot shooters are actually in place potentially. They're just not developed to the level we need them to be yet.
Yeah.
And I think in the end, you look at someone like Poku, who is in theory a really raw potential unicorn. This unicorn statement is just overblown. Everybody's sick of it. Yeah, absolutely. But the thing about a unicorn is a unicorn still takes development because the NBA is big, the NBA is strong, the NBA is fast and smarter than any level of basketball. It takes critical development for a unicorn to actually reach any sort of top level that we all expect. But they're not. A lot of them aren't getting that. A lot of them just aren't getting the development. And I mean, yeah, they're coming along when they get in the league, but this level of what people expect from this promise of a unicorn, it's just not happening. And I actually think both Poku and Chet, with their development and their commitment to the game and their willingness to invest to the team, I actually think both of them can become the unicorns that people thought they might. And in the end, that could be pretty wild to have two in one spot or one team.
Yeah, and we got Task Force Animals family. Lindy is doing really well in the OKC Blue.
Absolutely.
Lindy Waters is
Crushing
one of our
blue.
favorite players. We're incredibly high on Lindy Waters, and what he's doing in Oklahoma City Blue is huge for his career in Oklahoma City because he's learning the offense down there. He's balling out there. He's rebounding. He's taking any opportunity that he can, and he's doing and turning into amazing minutes. So we're really stoked about what Lindy's doing. I really quickly, Robert Middlebrooks, we had looked up JRE and Poku. Poku, there hasn't been any updates at all in the last month. That's expected. We won't probably hear another couple weeks until that. But they did update JRE, and it said that JRE is listed out for Monday night, which is tonight's game, which is an update, which means that I would consider JRE maybe being like really close to a return in the next few games as a possibility for JRE.
I think he's on game day decision
which is great to
situation.
see.
So.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I mean, like someone like Poku, what is the one thing we know about someone that's built like Poku versus JRE? But I mean, really, actually, I take that. I mean, someone built like Poku needs this, but the OKC Thunder the last 2 years, what have we done? Like nobody's playing unless they're 100%. They're not getting on the court unless they're 100%. And if they show a sign of pain, if they admit to pain, if they're dealing with any level of pain in the injured area, they're not getting on the court because that's not where we're at.
Yeah.
It's just not.
Yeah, McKenzie, great question here. This is something that Mark and I, we wondered how much influence Chip England was going to have on each of the team, if he was just going to focus on one or two players or if he was going to be with the entire team. And I can assure you, he is working, if not daily, bi-daily, so every other day, with each of these players that he gets an opportunity to. He is hands-on with the shooting, coaching that he's been doing. You can see it with all these guys. And
here's what I'd say about Chip, though. He as much as he's probably working mostly with one player like Giddy, like we assume, but what he's doing, I've seen the rest of the team is mimicking it. Like each player is getting it their coach, and that coach is telling him, and they're all watching what Chip does, and they're all Like they're all
They're
getting
all-
reps,
They're
and
all
that's
Chip's
the important.
staff.
Right. Chip is setting a pace for a tone for the rest of the organization. So, dude, I'm pumped up. Everybody's joining us. This is what it's all about. Like hearing what you guys want us to talk about. We'll talk about anything you guys want us to talk about. Unless, never mind. I won't say the exceptions, but you'll find out if you go there. Okay. But hey, James, you're right. Kenny Hustle is the barometer for this young team, and we love his leadership and intensity. It's all about that, man. And did you guys talk about this? Whether or not you think there will be another national TV game
we had to
coming
get
up?
that one, yeah.
I think here's what I think. I
Yes.
think that game against the Lakers, right, Dave? That's what you're
Yeah. Oh yeah.
thinking.
Oh yeah. That's definitely gonna happen.
But one that we like went on our own terms. It could. It depends.
We
you
have
know?
a really easy month in February though, so
Yeah.
I say easy. It's just the teams that we play aren't. There's not a lot of big time games that I would consider a TV show to try to pick up, or TV show national broadcast.
I think I kind of prefer, like, I mean, obviously I want to get more TV time, but I think
I
that
want another Josh triple double.
yeah, but as a professional athlete, like, and you're not getting national television presence, it's an insult.
Yeah.
Like, there's no way these guys aren't taking that personal. If they're not taking it personal and they're not capitalizing on what's happening to them, like they're gonna put that on their mind, and they're gonna make it to where the national television has to cover that.
Absolutely.
Just
All
like
right, so
KD and
Robert,
Russ did.
You're asking us JRE and Poku how long they're supposed to be out.
Well, we just covered that.
Yep.
You did. So here's what I'd say. I wanted to say add on that one though. I thought I saw JRE suited up the other day.
He's
Like, they were
game
showing
time
this,
decision.
Oh, he is.
Yeah.
So maybe he was in uniform, but before the game or nah, I'm dreaming. But dude, I'm ready for JRE. He was balling, guys. He was playing great.
Yeah, and
Nathan, take it easy, man.
Oh yeah, see you later. Take it easy, Nathan. Thanks for stopping by.
Yeah, thank you. Thunder up, baby.
E10, I just want to throw this in here. The play-in is national televised. I think if we make it to the play-in, it's a big win. But this team is playing like a team possessed right now, and for me to say that this team isn't a top 6 team in the West right now is crazy, because we win this game against Golden State, and Golden State is tied for 6 right now. So we would jump Golden State, and we would be tied with one of the teams for 7th. So
I think we go up to. I think I was looking at it. We could go up to like 8th at the highest with the games going on. But like, I mean, it's that's tight right now. So
it's that tight, and this is the way it's going to be for a while. And I think that's why it's crucial for this team to continue what they're doing, is because there's going to be teams like Utah that are eventually going to level out. As simple as that. You're going to have teams that are up there. Like the Clippers are playing well at the moment, but they're still one injury away from disaster. That's the thing, is that
And one thing to keep an eye on, Dave, is the top teams in the West seem like they're losing, and it's like actually tightening the race a little bit.
Yeah, I did notice that. Like Grizzlies has lost 3 in a row until last night.
And
Tony,
then the Nuggets lost 2 in a row, I think, or something like that. So
yeah, they did.
It's something to keep an eye on. It could really kind of spice things up even more for an already spicy situation. What do you guys think, man?
What do you got, John?
I was gonna say, Tony. I think you got three people supporting that statement. We're not really interested in looking for trades right now. We've got development on the mind, and those assets can prove to be really valuable at another time. So definitely, like, let's get Chet healthy. Let's see what the year looks like next year, and start talking about what we can do. We've got 4 draft picks the following year, so we've got a lot of leverage going into that. If we can pull off something like OG, I wouldn't necessarily cry about it, but I think it's too soon to be trying to piece together a title team, and I think
you would really like OG, bro.
I do like OG.
I mean, like, but
I love him on our team. Like he's so fun to watch, and
he's expensive though. I heard the Knicks offered 2 first-rounders for him, and they didn't go for
Someone
that.
else said that there's been they said Shams or your other I can't think of his name right now. Woj was saying that someone offered 3 first-round picks for him, and a lot of people think the Thunder are the only people that would offer that. But I'm not sure. Maybe they did, because we do have the assets to trade for something like that. But I'm not sure that OG's a 3 draft trade or 3 first-round pick trade at this stage. I don't know. Depends how the Raptors
it's all
see
depending
it.
on what phase you're in, right?
Yeah.
And if we were in that like a little bit like you're saying, Tony a year and a half, 2 years from now, then we then we'd be like, oh, he's the solution to all of our problems. If we just had him, then we would be a contender. We would be, we get past the first round, second round, whatever the situation is. So, we love it. And somebody else mentioned it's a combination of lust and having a lot of picks that makes us do this. And you're right. It's like being the rich guy at the strip club.
Yeah.
All right, anyway, Dave, what you gonna say?
I like it. I like being the rich guy at the strip club. Malik Haywood, real big shout out right here. We love the idea of getting some bling bling on this uniform. Mark is a traditional uniformist.
Uniform.
I don't know if you can say that or not, but it sounds cool. Anyways,
go for it, dude. I like it.
I am one of those guys that I'm a new age guy. I want to see some new stuff happening with this uniform. I mean, Nike just took over. I want to see how crazy and amazing this can get. You think about crazy uniforms that you like in the past, and do you guys remember the old Grizzly uniform that was like that turquoise color?
Yeah.
Like, I used to love that type of color of uniforms back in the day. So I'm all for some, crazy colors on uniform.
What do you think about doing Sonic's colors? Do you think like that would really piss off like Seattle fans, or is it safe? Or is it
safe to say fuck Seattle fans now?
No, dude, we can't say that, bro, because honestly, a lot of Seattle fans have been really gracious, man. Bro. Like, look, I get it. A lot of them are pissed and they've trashed us, but in the end, I think a lot of them have been really gracious. They're just not as loud as the ones who are really trashed.
So, some of the worst comments we've ever had have been from Supersonic fans, basically saying you stole a team from us, like give us them back, whatever. I get it.
Yeah, but I mean, if the Thunder left, I'd feel probably the same fucking way. Like,
blame it on Starbucks, okay? Don't blame it on us.
But no, like honestly, I don't think Seattle fans would want to see the Supersonic colors. Maybe they would, but for me, like, I don't know, dude. I don't know how many teams actually change colors. Like once they're established, it doesn't happen usually unless it's a change
a tribute
in location
uniform.
Sometimes.
You see,
I was gonna say like a city one or some sort of like state. You could even probably play with the statement one a bit, maybe and get something in there. But the orange is my favorite. Like,
yeah, dude. So let's talk about the game tonight, yo.
Yeah, Carson. Listen. If there is a matchup that you're looking forward to, I want to know what matchup you're looking forward to.
Dave, I'm going to ask you first. Well, no, John, let me ask you first. How many points is Shea going to go for tonight? Over or under 35?
Over.
Okay, Dave. How many points will J-Dub go for tonight?
Oh, you're going to ask me about J-Dub? I was all set for... Okay, I got you. Okay.
Because you got a boner for J-Dub right now.
J-Dub, I'm going to say J-Dub's going to go for 18 with 8 rebounds and 6 assists along with 5 steals.
Whoa. All right, man. And I'm going to go for Giddey. He's going to know he's got to attack the little guy every time. So I'm going to go for 28, 8, and 6.
Whoa.
Big game. We get the win. It's got to come from somewhere, baby.
I think Giddey
gets the only way we're going to win is by attacking the hole with those 3 guys. I mean, we're going to have to tack down hard.
I think Giddey gets a double-double because I think Giddey's height is going to really, really make Golden State struggle in the guard position because they're just traditionally not real. Like their height is they're more traditional in height than guard position. And Giddey has been getting to the hole. Like I know he's missing some of these. I get it. SGA his first year with us, he missed a lot of them too. Dort had a year, Dort's still kind of off and on, but like this takes time. When you find yourself there, like sometimes Josh looks shocked that he actually got there that easily. Like he doesn't really quite know what to do with that moment. Like, and that's understandable. Like Russ used to do it, man. When Russ was really young, he'd get to the bucket and he'd miss, and everybody would freak out about like how much he missed at the bucket. But that's part of the development. But on a team that doesn't have the height, that doesn't jam him up when he gets down there to take that shot, that little floater, that little layup, that extra step, I think that he excels at a high level. And then once he breaks them down, we actually have the shooters for him to get that double-double.
All right. And then we have a couple here. We have Malik says 37, 6, and 5 for Shea tonight. I like where you're going.
Yeah, tell us what you think he'll get. Anybody?
Yeah, J-Dub, we have Mwani saying J-Dub will get 20 tonight. Yeah, I like that. And then Tony and Carson, Dort is still out. He has a hamstring injury. I don't want to say it's not serious because it's a hamstring, but like we would have heard it being much more serious and out for a significant amount of time. But I do expect him to be out for a few games, trying to get nurse this injury, which sucks because I would have loved to see Lou, put Curry in a straitjacket because I love watching Lou do some crazy work out there on some phenomenal players. So it kind of
Yeah.
sucks, but I'm all right with it.
And Robert, you say Steph's going to do Steph things.
Oh,
We
yeah.
just got to limit Poole and Clay. My opinion about how to limit um, Clay and Steph is to let Poole shoot, but that's just my opinion. Um,
I think Wiggins could make us hurt a bit tonight if we're not on our stuff because Wiggins
Yeah, fuck
is a I mean I'm with you, but I think if we put too much attention in the wrong location, Wiggins can easily put in 20 points and
he hurts us like every time.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
Eric Hines, you asked about some trades we would like to see. At this point, we would like to see some trades in the off season, whether that's trades that we help facilitate and bring back some more draft picks, or we end up adding a player. That's something that we look in the off season because if you look at traditionally, Sam doesn't like to trade halfway through the year, and that's what we've kind of looked at. Now, I get it. There's a lot of podcasts out there talking about trades and players they would like to add and different things like that, but like Mark and I have been very clear, and now John's joining us. We really want this team to do what they're able to do to develop these players. And if they can do that, that's the most important thing for us. If we can develop these guys into the roles that they're going to be playing next year when we're going to compete at the top of the Western Conference, I think that's what is more important at this moment.
Yeah, so Tony, Dort is out as far as we know, and Carson, you're right. We would love to see Lou versus Curry. Might end up having to be Wiggins versus Curry, seems like, and
Or
that's
Wiggins on
pretty good
Wiggins.
if you know that means we're probably gonna win, right? That undefeated up to this point. I think we're 8-0 now, so just chalk it up for 9-0. Joe for 30. All right,
I'll take
Carson,
it.
you get a shout out if that happens tomorrow on the post game. That's for sure.
Dude, if Joe goes for 30, man, I will call you the master, and we will need to get you on the show for sure because we'll want to know whatever you're doing, whatever you're drinking, whatever you're smoking that's causing you to say Joe for 30 and he goes off and does it. I want to know more.
Absolutely, Eric. We're pumped to see Chet out there on the floor too, for
Cannot
sure.
wait for Chet. Cannot wait for Chet.
Yeah, man, it pumps us up.
Hey guys,
It's hard to grasp like being this good and having the number 2 pick sitting there waiting for you. But that's what we're
guys,
in.
I gotta bounce. I got a tag I gotta be at. I just saw the time.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I'll let
Enjoy
you
it.
guys-
Don't get hurt, bro.
I'll try not to. Take it easy, guys. Have a
All
good
right, bro.
night.
Thanks for joining
having
us,
me.
man.
All right, bye-bye.
Thanks,
Appreciate it,
John.
bro. I love you,
we'll
man.
see you soon. All right.
And yeah, I mean, when Mark was just saying adding Chet to this team, and we're already so good, it's pretty stinking amazing. Even thinking about like the idea that we'll have another player to add to this at Chet's caliber, plus whatever else we add to this off year, to me is something that it's going to be a luxury. It's just automatically like one of the best trades that we're doing or getting is by adding Chet this offseason. And I think that's one of the most powerful things that's going to be about. So I'm pretty stoked about it, man. This offseason is going to be a powerful time because we've seen what Shea's done in his big jump in year 4. Yeah, year 4. So to me, it's year 5 is that solidifying of who Shea really is. And to me, that's what gets me really excited because I really do think that this team is going to be competing at the top of the Western Conference next season. And that's not me just trying to, make people feel good about it. I really do think that this team is going to be as good as Memphis and as good as Denver next season.
Yeah, man. Definitely glad everybody's joining us. Jump in. Tell us who you want us to talk about. We'll talk about, whatever. Like, we love the Thunder. We're looking forward to getting after the Warriors. And Tony, we agree with you, man. Why not get downhill on Curry, keep him in foul trouble? Let's put the pressure on him all game long, wear him out. That's how we got to play, man. That's how we play against everybody. And you don't want to take, Curry any differently. But he's a creative and crafty defender. But I
He's
think
so
that
smart too.
he is smart, but there's opportunities and we can get downhill on him. No doubt about that. So that's what we're looking forward to, man.
And you're absolutely right, Mwani. SGA isn't done developing. That's why it's so impressive to see what he's done this year and the jump that he's made. It's gonna be powerful. I love how people are starting to rank him up in the top echelon of guards right now. The rest of the NBA is starting to take note that this young man's 24 years old and he's putting up the numbers he's doing. there's some of those assholes out there that's saying that he's stacking his numbers or using those moments that we're winning by a lot to score a lot, second team, whatever. But here's the thing about Shea is that the way that he is designed to get minutes, if you watch it, he plays in the third quarter, and then there is that 7 minute or 6 minute, 5 minute, whatever it is break that he does not play in that fourth quarter, guys. And because of that, when he comes back in the game, if it's a game still, it's still closing time, and he needs to get those points on there. So if you're saying someone's saying, oh, he's just fluffing his numbers, look at the minutes, look at how he's playing, and it's that last 2 minutes of the game that all of a sudden that we take these ginormous leads that teams can't come back from, and then everybody's like, oh well, look at Shea had 35, but they won by 22 points, and it's like, well, yes and no, like that 22 points was earned in the last 2 minutes of the game. So
Yeah.
that's where that's at least, and that's why I get excited.
And you're right. He's going to get better. He's going to get better. And not only that, like his mentality for improvement is contagious. And so we're going to see other players follow him. And that's what we want. That's what you got to have. So we're building.
And Tony, yes. If Coach D is getting this team into a top 6 in the league, top 6 in the West, then he should be known as the Coach of the Year, as well as SGA, being right up there in the top votes for MVP, because we're talking about SGA having to do that, and then Coach D is known as already one of the best young coaches. For him to solidify that and getting a Coach of the Year is young in his career wouldn't be to me at all.
Yo, so Dave, you talk about this. How much you miss those 2018 native jerseys?
Yeah, man.
I mean, I know you bought one, or you bought
Yeah.
the shorts at least. Did you buy the
Yeah.
jersey and everything? You bought the whole set?
Yep, I got the whole set.
All right.
I like it.
All right.
I'm down with them.
All right. Shout out for sure, dude. I think those were some sharp looking teal ones, dude.
I to this day, like I said, I said that my favorite jerseys growing up was that teal from the Grizzlies. So when they came out with that one, I had to get the set, man.
Yeah. Yeah. And Mackenzie, you're right. This is kind of like a little bit like what happened with the Pelicans, got the play in and they still got Zion. Some vibe like that, that, I mean, it could keep happening with all these, pick swaps. That's what pick swaps give you an opportunity to do. And that's exciting. So,
And then Eric Hines, you just said you just found our channel. First of all, thanks. We really appreciate it. We've been doing this for 2 years, and we just really passionate about the Oklahoma City Thunder, and it's how we talk. And I'm glad that you've been able to find us and ask us the questions and feel confident to be part of this conversation with us, because that's what we want people to do. All right. So as far as tanking or lottery pick or making the playoffs or whatever. Here's the thing about this draft. It is an incredibly powerful draft, but here's the reality of this draft is that you've got your top echelon of players, and that middle of the draft is probably stronger than I've seen in a long time. So if there's going to be a star player that slips through and gets in that middle of the pack, this is the year that it does. That's one of the reasons I believe that Sam Presti brought in who he has scouting this year's draft, because I do think that our pick is going to be in that teen pick. And if that happens, then it's going to be a masterpiece to see how Sam Presti picks something out. But the reality is that even if we don't have a top 7-8 pick this year, we still could get into that top 7-8 with all the draft pick assets that we have. It's all about what Sam Presti values. And as far as tanking, I would say this is that we believe in tanking culture creates tanking mindsets. And if you look at the Timberwolves and the way that they're having trouble consistently win, it's because they've been in that tank mindset for so many years. Whereas the Oklahoma City Thunder, we're in this winning mindset. We're the 5th most winning NBA franchise in the last 10 years. So to me, this is one of those things that it's teaching these young men to win at all costs. And if that costs us a better draft pick to teach these guys to get into the playoffs, then it's I would say it's a good trade at this point, because this team needs to know what it feels like to get in the playoffs, and it would be pretty powerful to see.
Yeah, and lean into player development if you're playing games that don't matter, right? So if we get to that point where, we tried our best and we lost, 8 games in a row and we just weren't going to make it, maybe it would take more than that at this point. But, whenever it gets to that point, then the minutes should go to Jang. They should go to, everybody who has been working hard on that part of the roster. So that's just our opinion.
Well, and
McKinsey,
McKinsey, yeah. Let's talk about this
let's talk
because
about it.
we are from Oklahoma. We married Oklahoma girls that their entire lives lived in Oklahoma. Their families are from Oklahoma for many generations. So for us, we're really Oklahoman. We moved to Oklahoma, I think when we were 10 and 11 years old, something like that.
Yeah.
And so for us, it's been part of our who we are, and that's why we fell in love with the Oklahoma City Thunder. Is because when I moved away in 2009, um, it was the only thing that brought us together. We would talk about the Thunder, we would talk about the progress, we talked about KD and Russ, and it was the only thing as brothers. I mean, there's four of us brothers that we would sit down and have conversations and laugh, and it really brought us together. So Oklahoma is definitely part of us and who we are, and to me, it's something that I'll always be very positive in the time that I spent there. We lived off of 23rd, between 23rd and 36. If you guys know where Bethany area is,
Ann
whatever that
Arbor,
area.
yeah.
So,
So,
yeah, fun times, man.
um, are we gonna Joshua? This is exactly what we love to talk about right here, right? I think that cap space has a lot of potential. It's gonna help some other teams get off of
Yeah.
a deal that they don't want to be on, and it's gonna help us add either picks or, like we always say, the throw-ins that make up, this core, like guys that were second round picks that other teams are getting ready to give up on, the Kenny Hustle style player that we want. So I mean, we do think that we're going to use that cap space because it's an asset, and it's an asset to teams that want to get off of bad deals or whatever, expiring contracts, and we'll take that money on, and we're going to get something for doing that, and that's how we think we'll use it. It's
Yeah.
it's opportunistic spending, right?
Yeah, but it's like we talked about earlier. I don't remember who said it. One of the guys said it up here. They said, creating value. Like that's what Sam is so powerful and so good at, is that he brings in somebody, creates the value, and then trades them at the peak. Think of Al Harford and these other guys. It's really interesting, and to me, it's something that I really do feel honored that we have this opportunity to have somebody like Sam Presti to learn from. And that's what I constantly feel like. If you guys go back and hyper look at what Sam says in the beginning of every season, at the end of every season, and what he is able to teach you guys in general is a true master class, and how he speaks and how he recognize what the question is and who's giving asking the question, so he knows how to answer the question. I love Sam. I love what he's doing with this organization. It's truly powerful.
Yeah, Moana, you're right, man. Like cheering for a small market team, it feels like one of those situations where you're not going to have this advantage. That for a lot of organizations, that advantage seems to backfire. Like look at where like the Lakers and the Clippers and the Nets and the Knicks are, right? Like being like, oh, we can spend unlimited money doesn't always help you, and sometimes it puts you in really bad spots. And I'd rather be cheering for an organization that cared for the small things and understood how to grow players and invest in people than one that was just like, oh, we'll just buy new people. Like I don't like that.
Hey, McKinsey, right? I want to throw this in here. In Durant, there is a bar in Durant, nice little bar there. A brewery, I'm sorry, a brewery. Um, my cousin-in-laws, my wife's cousins, they are owners to that. I'd highly recommend you guys check that out if you live there in Durant. Can't tell you the name right now because I can't remember it. But McKinsey, if you look at the breweries, I don't think there's many breweries there in Durant, so definitely check them out. I like them, and then you can go in there and tell them that I sent you guys, and I'm sure they'll know who exactly my wife Katie is. She's in the military, and she just recently went back to visit them after she got back from Iraq. So she was there in Durant recently, checking that place out. So pretty cool place there.
Carson, we'd love the idea of getting a player like Siakam, but it's difficult because we don't like the idea of giving up anybody or anything, and we know that these guys are expensive. But his defensive versatility, his playmaking ability, his ability to get downhill, offensive rebounding, all that stuff, like he's a really good player and he fits in with our culture. I just think his timeline isn't really right, but like that's the type of star like I like. I think he obviously hasn't been able to take a full step forward, mostly because Toronto's been holding him back, I think. So, but at the same time, like they're going to demand a king's ransom for him, and they should. And it's just probably not going to come from us. And I wish him the best, but at some point, like he's got to get out of there. Everybody's got to get out of there. That's what I think. And you're right, Tony. LeBron called Presti the MVP because he is. I mean, he really is.
I mean, he is. Look at what he's done. I mean, he recognized how the team was built. I know we just covered this a little bit ago, but he recognized how the team was built and how they were missing pieces this last time and how he couldn't get over that hump. Even if he kept Durant, he still had a huge way to go in order to get this team being back there without an injury. So I look at it and I have to say is he took the mistakes that were made, he made them better. He made the team stronger. He made the coaching staff stronger. He made the organization stronger. He made the G League stronger. He created this organization that's really a more powerful organization that's been created in all of sports, especially thinking that it's a small market organization. Like that's what's so
Yeah.
powerful. What he's being able to do is that he doesn't have this infinite amount of money where people are like, here you go, Sam, do what you want. I mean, this is Sam Presti with one of the smallest budgets in the NBA, and he's doing some amazing things with it, and it's really impressive.
For sure. I mean, it's really easy to get excited. Eric, you're talking about moving back to OKC in '07. You were born there and stuff. I mean, and then like getting to watch this whole happen as you're growing, as a fan. We moved to Oklahoma in '95, and then right around '08 is kind of like around the time we started leaving. But it's kind of like this fabric that keeps us all together. And we all have some of our best memories, cheering for the Thunder, whether at Chesapeake Arena or on TV, wherever we lived, all around the world. Dave just got back from living in Hawaii. I lived in Puerto Rico for a couple of years, and like the Thunder was the thing that just like we always continue to congregate around. And it's fun. It's addicting. You watch every little transaction because you're like you guys keep saying you're a small market team and these things matter. And it's not just about getting stars. It's about doing all the little things and thinking back about since the last time we really had a chance at the conference finals, right, with KD and Russ in 16, and now we're already in 2023. Like it's been a long time already, but we're feeling this energy again, and we love it, man. We love watching this team grow. Eric, to answer your question about how often we stream, we try to do this every time before the games. This is only like a third time, and it's not really a time because picking a time makes us feel stressed. So we just say, sometime game day we're gonna jump on. It keeps it low pressure. Last time we did it, dude, I was like freaking out because everybody was expecting us. We have too many issues to permanently do this on a certain time, but whenever it does work, just keep that notifications on, and then it'll just pop up. Dave, I actually have to start getting out of here because
Yeah, I got to go too. But real quickly, McKinsey, right? I don't know if it's Bubba's Brewery or not. I'm assuming it would be, but I wrote my wife, and I'll find out that, and I'll get back to you soon. Yeah, I throw this out here before we go. We do have the best fan base in the world. I mean, hands down. If you look at what we're doing and where our fan bases are at and where we're getting the love at, the Oklahoma City Thunder are truly blessed to have some of the best fans in the entire world. So it's really exciting to be able to do this with you guys, because having to be able to sit down and be all over the world, and I live right now in Bethesda, Maryland, and Mark lives in Pennsylvania at the time. So being able to sit down with you guys and have a conversation, and that's what we're doing, is really powerful, and it means a lot to Mark and I. So
yeah, and I
really,
know
thank you.
I speak for John when I say this because he lives, like we said, in Limerick, Ireland, and Thunder conversations aren't easy. So I'm sure he appreciates getting to chat with everybody out there too. Eric,
McKinsey, real quickly, it's called the Lost Street Brewery Company. The Lost Street Brewery Company. That's the brewery that my wife's family owns.
Eric, so I've only been to a Grizzlies playoff game myself. So it sounds like maybe we have the same experience there. What I think it's one of the best rivalries in sports, and especially nobody talks about it, but I love going against the Grizzlies. I love hating the Grizzlies, and the Grizzlies are one of those teams that are really good and really fun to watch, and that tears me up. I'd rather hate them purely, and I can't hate them purely when they play the way they do. But yeah, this is what we're all about, guys. Thank you so much for joining us for this.
Yeah,
we'll be
guys.
back after the game with a podcast, but we'll come back pregame anytime we can. We love you guys. You guys are the best.
Seriously.
We'll see you soon.